emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic. Commission members and staff will participate in this meeting via telephone and video conference. As chair, I'll be leading the Economic Development Commission meeting, and the public is welcome to participate when invited throughout the meeting. Members of the public may attend the meeting by joining via online Zoom. If attendees are experiencing any audio problems, we suggest you leave the meeting and then try to rejoin. This has usually fixed the issue. Additional instructions on how to participate are posted online at www.burnsvillemn.gov in the public meeting calendar. As usual, tonight's meeting is available for viewing on BCTV and on the city's website. You may participate in this meeting tonight online by going to https://zoom.us/join and typing in the meeting ID number 993-7109-0165. Once you are logged into the meeting, please use the chat feature to tell the moderator which item you would like to speak to. You may also call into the meeting at 651-372-8299 and enter meeting ID number 993-7109-0165. And now on to the agenda. The first item on tonight's agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do any of the members of the commission have any changes to the agenda? I don't see anyone. Staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
All right, thank you. So I'm looking for a motion to adopt the agenda.
I motion.
So we got a motion by Fichette and a second by Schmitz. Beth, can we have a roll call for the vote?
Yes, Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson.
Might be on mute there, Al.
Aye.
Commissioner Fichette.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmitz.
Aye.
And the motion carries. We are now on to item number 2 of the agenda. Consider approval of the November 12th, 2020 Economic Development Commission meeting minutes. Economic Development Commission members, are there any changes to the minutes as written?
No changes.
None from staff.
Okay, staff doesn't have any changes. So looking for a motion to adopt the November 12th, 2020 meeting minutes.
I motion.
I'm looking for a second there.
I'll second.
Okay, Fichette moved and Commissioner Schmitz second. Beth, can we have a roll call on the vote?
Commissioner Newman.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Fichette.
Aye.
Commissioner Schmitz.
Aye. And it looks like Commissioner Lefevre joined as well, if you want to include him in the roll.
Abstain. I couldn't get it. Sorry. I was going in through the other site and I couldn't participate. I just could watch. So I'm here now.
Sounds good.
Welcome, Jeff. All right, and with that, the motion carries on item number 2. We'll move on to item number 3 of the agenda, open to business overview and update. Natalie Malalso from MCCD will provide a presentation of this item. So Natalie, I'll turn it over to you and I'll give you the floor so you can go ahead and unmute yourself and go ahead with your presentation.
And maybe I can just quickly maybe kick it off, Commissioner Newman, sorry. So Natalie, like you said, will be giving the presentation. As a city, we have participated in the Open to Business program that's run by MCCD, the Metropolitan Consortium of Community Developers, since 2013. And we contribute $8,300 a year to participate in this program to serve our Burnsville businesses, as well as other cities within Dakota County also contribute. It's really led in Dakota County by the CDA, and we're all contributing partners. We see great value in this program, and just a great service to our community. And with that, I'll turn it over to Natalie.
Thank you very much, Regina, and thank you for inviting me here. Hello to everyone on the EDC, and thanks for listening today to Open to Business. I have a brief presentation. I promise to keep it as concise as possible. I'll start just by introducing myself and then talk just a bit about MCCD and the programs, some programmatic highlights, the return on investment for Dakota County in general, and some Burnsville specific outcomes and highlights from the year, and then just sort of looking ahead, what you can expect to see in 2021, some upcoming trainings and program announcements. So my contact details are here, as you can see on the first slide. You'll see it again at the very end of the presentation. And I also have business cards and brochures available for anyone and everyone at City Hall as well. So my details are there too. Next slide, please. So just a bit of background to start. I joined MCCD in July of 2020. A little bit about me, my background: I grew up in Wisconsin, went to business school in Wisconsin. After graduating business school, I worked for a CDFI in Wisconsin for a handful of years, mainly doing grant writing and fundraising. Then I moved to New York City and was in New York for about a decade. And there I sort of led and developed a business development team for a small business in New York, really just managing a team, focusing with the leadership and the ownership on marketing, client management, contract negotiations, closing deals, developing clients, building partnerships, and just really strategizing with the leadership there to help reach their strategic goals for their very growth-oriented company. So I did that in New York for about a decade, and then just moved back to the Midwest, and I live in St. Paul with my husband and our 2 dogs. So moving on to the background about MCCD, the organization itself was established about 30 years ago. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. The mission really is to build strong and stable communities through economic and community development in a variety of forms. They became a CDFI in 2009, which is around the same time that they started the Open to Business program. The CDFI status is really important to the organization itself. It's a competitive process and an award that we receive from the Department of the Treasury on an annual basis that is competitive. It's loans and grants to help us operate our loan fund and operate the organization in general. So to be a CDFI, you need to focus on serving underserved communities, namely women, people of color, low wealth individuals as well. So Open to Business is active right now in Dakota County, Hennepin County, Ramsey, Anoka, Carver County, and Washington County. It's really one of our most exciting programs, and really, fast to grow as well in the past 10 years. So in addition to that, we do direct small business lending. We have a $10 million loan portfolio. Loans are underwritten and reviewed as well, approved by a volunteer loan committee of community bankers. And then we have a credit builder program, which primarily serves BIPOC individuals. We do about 125 loans a year through the credit builder program. And it's really to help folks improve their credit scores so that they can access financing and just really have more options in terms of financing for larger projects. And then there is also the policy and advocacy work with our members. Next slide, please. So the Open to Business program, to go a little bit more in depth there, it really encompasses two aspects: technical assistance and lending. And the technical assistance is one-on-one business assistance for businesses really in any stage. And it builds on the in-house support that cities and counties have in their economic development departments. So Open to Business offers a complete suite of services, as well as access to capital and direct lending through our loan portfolio. As Regina mentioned, we have been active in Dakota County since 2013. So I would say very embedded in the community at this point. The advising that we offer is totally free to residents and businesses, and it's confidential as well. We try to be very approachable in terms of our assistance, easily accessible, and really meeting clients at where they're at based on what their needs are and what their expertise is in as well. So who is an Open to Business client? And it's really all across the spectrum in terms of business stage, industry, pre-start to existing. There's no criteria to be a part of the program. And so in that way, it's very accessible to residents. A few examples of Open to Business clients in Burnsville in 2020 that I worked with, just to give you a better sense of who's accessing this program. A professional who is taking night classes at a local community college, for example. She's looking to turn her talents at organization and advising into a life coaching business. So I'm working with her right now on her business plan, legal aspects, building a budget, getting ready to approach a bank for financing in the next few months. Also a skilled tradeswoman looking to start her own restoration business. So I'm helping her with networking, talking about LinkedIn, also building a business plan, and also accessing financing for some equipment to get her started and a new truck. Another example would be an online beauty business that's looking to make a move from e-commerce to a brick and mortar location in Burnsville. So they're opening later this year, working very closely with them, helping them navigate and search for a space, review the lease, building out a budget, making sure that they start off on solid footing, so to speak. And then really just helping a lot of existing businesses this year, or I should say 2020 in particular, and also this year, really just kind of navigate this changing landscape. And in particular, helping them get access to grants that they need, that it's coming through on all levels, helping them understand what goes into that, how to apply, walking them through. You know, it's definitely not business as usual. You all know this as well, and if I've seen and heard as well. So every situation is different. Every client has different goals. These are just a few examples. Next slide, please. So what is the return on investment in Open to Business? Last year, we analyzed the findings of a program-wide survey that we did in 2019. And here's just a quick snapshot of the findings there. In 2019, 219 small business loans were made, over 7,000 hours of technical assistance. And you can see the numbers there in terms of job creation, direct lending, capital leveraged. The economic impact for this is significant, and also, you know, sales tax generated and things like that as well is very impactful. Based on the findings and the analysis that we did, we're estimating that for every $1 invested in the Open to Business program, that in turn generates $20 worth of small business support for the community. Next slide, please. So moving on to Dakota County, in 2020, as I mentioned, definitely not business as usual for so many businesses and so many people across the country and across the world. We really leaned into a multi-pronged approach to support these businesses and also really to increase awareness of the Open to Business program in general, so that more people knew that we're here to help and that we can help them navigate this situation. So really being proactive with our outreach and with our communications to businesses, asking for referrals from bankers, networking as much as we can to get the word out. And here you can see an example of one of the advertisements that we ran in 2020, kind of with that angle to support existing businesses that are reopening or trying to sort of reimagine their business in light of COVID. So in addition to shifting our marketing language and trying to increase visibility, really high touch support to our existing clients, in particular our loan clients, and in particular our clients in the restaurant industry or the retail industry. So really going case by case, especially with our loan clients, to give them as much flexibility as possible during this time and as much support as possible during this time. Payment deferrals, waiving payments, reducing interest rates, things like that, really trying to go above and beyond in terms of flexibility to make sure that they could get through this difficult time. And what else? Increasing transparency and accessibility. One thing that we added shortly after I joined was virtual office hours. And that was really just to kind of break down any barriers that clients had to accessing the program. So people can pop into virtual office hours. They can make appointments if that's easier for them. My Zoom link is available, so people just can come into my Zoom waiting room and we can meet that way. And then of course, outside of office hours, I'm available 5 days a week if people make an appointment. So we continue also to build our business advising team to meet the diverse needs of the communities that we're working in. We can now provide technical assistance and one-on-one support in Vietnamese, Hmong, and Somali. So that is an exciting development for us as a team. And you can see here in Dakota County, we served 148 clients in 2020, about 1,500 hours as well. And that includes TA and also programmatic work, administrative work, developing programs and things like that. And then also a bit of lending, most of which happened earlier in 2020, sort of before COVID, which totally, changed the landscape in terms of lending as well. But things are picking up a bit now again, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the lending program later on. Let's see, next slide, please. So in Burnsville in particular, Burnsville is consistently one of our most active cities in Dakota County. So just a huge kudos and a huge thank you to Jenny and Regina and Beth for your collaboration and your support of the program and for businesses in your city. We served 25 unique clients in 2020 in Burnsville, and that includes a majority of existing businesses. Versus last year, or I should say in 2019, where it was a majority of new businesses. So I think that speaks to the change that we made in marketing and just the way that we talk about the program to make it more accessible to existing businesses. 19 of those businesses were based in Burnsville. 5 of those businesses were essentially Burnsville residents that have their businesses based elsewhere. And then 1 is an e-commerce business that is opening in Burnsville hopefully in 2021. We have 2 active loan clients, and so we're actively working with them and servicing those loans, working with them in terms of the flexibility that I mentioned earlier and the support that I mentioned earlier. Most referrals, as you can see, pretty consistently come through the cities or the county as well, and certainly existing clients or former clients and their friends or their contacts. So we do get referrals that way through the web. I'm working on increasing those banker referrals. So part of the outreach that I've been doing and will continue to do is to set up meetings with the local community bankers to make sure that they're aware of our loan fund and how we can partner with banks to get deals done and to get capital out into the community. And then in terms of the industry, pretty consistently, we see very high numbers in service and retail, also because of the lower barriers to entry. Also, consulting is creeping up. A number of life coaching businesses I'm hearing from and hearing about. So that's, I think, an interesting trend. And then health and fitness as well, I think, is notable too. Next slide, please. So what is coming up in 2021? There is quite a bit. I will tell you about just a few highlights. And front and center is our business boot camp, which I am spearheading, and you can see an advertisement for here. It is a really exciting brand new program that we're rolling out, again, to serve existing businesses, and it will be tailored to their needs. It's a multi-session program, and every business participant will receive a 360-degree review of their business in key areas that are relevant to them. They essentially get to choose their curriculum, choose what's relevant to them, and then we'll go in depth on those topics. And it's also a group effort across our business advising team. So different advisors will weigh in on different topics. And that way it's like a really sort of high touch, in-depth look at what these business owners are struggling with or what opportunities they see so that we can help them reach their goals in the new year. Also working with the Dakota County Library on a 3-part webinar series that kicks off next month. That is tailored to the needs of Somali business owners. And we're advertising to that group as well. We'll have our, one of my colleagues will be facilitating that webinar series with me, and really just trying to address the unique needs of that community and make sure that they're aware of our program and connect them with other business resources as well. There is an Inver Hills Community College Student Success Day coming up in February that I'll be presenting to. I have received a couple of referrals from this college, and a very entrepreneurial spirit as well from the college. And so be talking to their students about e-business and e-commerce. Really looking forward to that. Also highlighting some more client success stories and trying to get those out into the world. We're looking at different formats, including video and just in a PDF form with some great photographs. And then our loan committee that I mentioned earlier, I really want to ramp up the presence of Dakota County bankers on that committee. So I was able to recruit one new member late last year, and I'm actively pursuing new members to join. So it's a virtual committee right now that meets to review our loans and will weigh in on approving the loans that we do. So if anyone comes to mind, please let me know. And that is a summary of what's upcoming. And you can switch to the next slide. And thank you all for having me. Really nice to see everyone. And again, my information is here. Stand for any questions if you want to know more about any of the topics I talked about.
Great. Thanks, Natalie, for sharing with us. I think this is a great service to the community, especially the residents of Burnsville, and it's great to see residents taking advantage of this program. And even through this time of pandemic, of residents as businesses are reaching out and looking for support and help. So I think that's really great. So I'll open it up to the commission on any questions or any comments. Go, Jeff.
I had a question for Natalie. So Natalie, I agree with Chair Newman on his comments and the importance of what you guys are doing. I do wonder, I've been involved recently with 2 communities that are working on entrepreneurial centers. And I'm intrigued by it because what you do now is you're going out to each of the individual businesses with your expertise, but there's no daily concerted effort to bring their businesses together and to cause the magic that happens when other businesses are interacting with each other, and then efficiencies for you guys where you could have a seminar on SEO every week. You could be bringing something into an entrepreneurial center, for instance. And so we're capturing more, I think, through potentially an entrepreneurial center, of which then you support through the services you provide. I just wonder, would that be a more effective way to deliver some of the tools that you guys are doing? And do you have any experience in that?
I think that's a great question. And I can tell you that I think it would, to your point about reach and sort of economies of scale, I think we would certainly be able to engage with a greater number of clients if the setup was such that you describe. However, the open to business model has always been very one-on-one. And I think they, when they were thinking about the program and sort of in its inception, the idea of really just that one-on-one, very honest, very confidential support was the niche that they saw and the need that they were trying to meet. Having said that, I think in times of COVID, I think we're all learning a lot about what can be accomplished in a group setting, in a virtual setting, through webinars, through different formats. So you saw as I laid out, I am planning a number of webinars coming up in the new year. And I think some sort of model like that, that just kind of folds in some group learning, because I do think there's so many synergies that can be gained from that. And also just the community support, like as these business owners are working through problems and having those types of discussions as a group and leaning on each other is incredibly valuable. So I think, moving towards some kind of hybrid option could be very beneficial. And I have to say that the chambers are doing an incredible job bringing businesses together and supporting businesses as well during this time. So just sort of building on what they're doing too, and maybe combining forces, so to speak.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Those are good comments. And for the record, I just wonder if we as an EDC should be thinking about that a little bit, because the world of being an entrepreneur is a very lonely world. It's a very stressful world financially. And the biggest challenge is managing the space between your 2 ears. And when you have daily support with other entrepreneurs around you versus you guys coming in and meeting monthly or weekly or whatever the schedule is, it requires more than just a monthly or a weekly meeting one time for an hour. It requires a lot of support. And so I just wonder as a community if we should be thinking, as an EDC in particular, we should be thinking more about that and how we can continue to partner with you, but then leverage some of the things you're doing. Not take away the one-on-one that you still have with people. You could still absolutely do that, but leverage some of the common things like SEO importance and how to do that, or website development, or just accounting. What's the balance sheet? What's an income statement? How do you read them? All of these things that are commonalities to businesses, even though they may be providing different services or marketing different goods. And I'll be quiet with that.
Commissioner Fichette had her hand up.
Crystal?
Thank you. Commissioner LaFarge, those were great comments. And in fact, you made me start thinking about other resources that the commission could also weigh in and provide information for, and that would be what is the Secretary of State having a way for entrepreneurs and the Department of Labor and Industry, those kinds of places, departments that could help people. But I have about 4 questions, so I'm wondering if it's going to be okay to ask all of them one after the other, or would that block somebody else out from, I don't want to, keep everybody else from asking questions. So if I can, I'll just ask them real quickly. The first question I had was, is your program only centered around Dakota County residents, or do you help residents in other communities, surrounding communities, counties?
I personally work with Dakota County clients only. That is my target area. But we do serve clients in other counties and across the state as well, mainly in the Twin Cities and the surrounding region. To be specific, we have dedicated advisors serving Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Anoka County, Carver County, and Washington County, in addition to Dakota.
Okay, that's good information to know about. Is the other question I had was in terms of maybe earnest money or or having some capital to get a loan. And so my question around that was, we're in COVID crises right now. People don't have a lot of money. What is the expectation for an individual who wants to get a loan? Is that something that there's an expectation around for people to have a substantial amount of money to put down, or can you speak to that?
Sure. So we are, by way of being a CDFI and the way that we have structured our loan program, we have very different requirements than a bank would have. And in so many ways, we're there if clients need us, if they can't go to a bank to get financing. But that is always what we counsel clients to do first, because I do think that the banks, that truly is the market, and they can get their best offer for them, working with the bank, and the most competitive offer. The capital that we have is really for folks that are higher risk, or just not a good fit for a bank for whatever reason, or if there is a gap that the bank can't quite meet, we could come in with a small piece of the kind of the wider puzzle. So in a lot of ways, we have very different requirements, and it's, we look at the cash flow, we look at the character of the client, we work with them so closely throughout the technical assistance process that we really get to know them before a loan is made. And that allows us to make much riskier loans that are, thinking about collateral and down payments and things like that. We have a lot of flexibility in terms of what we can do.
Okay, thank you for that, because you actually answered the third question I had, which was about it being credit-based. And then, so I hear you loudly when you say a more risky client. My last question, very simple one. You mentioned the acronym CDFI, and you talked about what that is and the kind of grant money that you get for that. But for our sake, can you tell us what CDFI stands for?
Yes, absolutely. The CDFI is a Community Development Financial Institution, and it's a program through the U.S. Treasury Department. They've set aside loan funds and also operating grants for institutions that invest in underserved communities.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? I'm not seeing anything.
I just want to say it's so fun to hear Natalie talk about, a couple of these businesses. I know I had that first interaction with them, and to see that, you know, they could possibly be opening a brick and mortar location this year, that's just really, really exciting for me to hear. So those success stories just are excited to see that, yes, this partnership is working, and it's leading to, you know, this business being potentially a great Burnsville business and great service to our community. So it's just fun.
Yeah, thanks, Regina, for saying that. I was going to say it's always great to hear this overview of open to business and how the interaction with the city and staff and the marketing to it and getting residents to get to open to business and getting all their information and getting out there is great. I don't see anything else from the commission, so I just want to say thank you, Natalie, amongst the commission, for joining us here today and giving us an overview. So thank you for joining us. There's no action or anything on this item, so no motion is required at this time. So we'll go ahead and move on to item number 4 of the agenda, which is review draft 2021 work plan. So Regina Dean will provide a presentation of this item and an overview of the background report. So Regina, I'll turn it over to you and give you the floor.
I was muted. Thank you, Chair Newman, members of the commission. Next slide, please. So each year, the commission recommends a work plan, and this goes in front of typically the city council at their all-day work session. So the Economic Development Commission takes a first look. It's brought up briefly in discussion. Any outcomes from the all-day work session are talked about, and it's possible that there could be some outcomes from that all-day work session that get added to your 2021 work plan. But for now, we have a draft just for the purposes of discussion and any further recommendation to our city council. So kind of looking back at 2020, what you've accomplished, and when I was going through the list, I was actually quite surprised at how much the EDC accomplished this year with such a strange year. You actually did a lot, so it's quite exciting. So just to highlight which you're still working on the strategic plan, goal number 4, looking at our resident program specifically, and that went before the council at the last work session. But you'll still be, working towards kind of refining some of that goal, and staff will be working on that as well. And so that'll just continue on to 2021. But we've made a lot of progress in that respect. Of course, due to budget, some things might not go as fast as maybe ideally we'd hoped, but this is kind of a long range. The strategic plan is kind of more of a long range vision and a path. So I think we're still on target. We're still on path, maybe just a couple steps back, just again, mostly due to budget. You participated in the review and recommendation of the South Cross and Portland City land sale and provided a recommendation to our city council. I do want to give you just a brief update on that. The recommended developer actually decided not to move forward with the purchase of the land. So at a staff level, we're determining next steps as far as if we need to go back out to RFP, or if we can make a recommendation in the future to the EDC and the EDC and the city council on one of the other submittals. So that we'll take another look at that, and likely that will be before you in 2021. The ALF grant. Oh, I see a comment from Commissioner Lefevre. The question is, can I share why they did not, the developer decided not to move forward? The developer had some concerns with the soils conditions and potential contamination of the property. So they thought that it may be too much work to remove the soils that were there and move forward. So that was their greatest concern, just the expensive potential soils. They did some soil borings and hit concrete in a couple of spots, and have concerns that it may have been a construction kind of dumping ground. That's not confirmed, but that's what kind of the thought that they had. So they did officially withdraw, and we'll be, like I said, kind of re-looking at things and seeing how that can move forward, either sometime in the future, 2021, we're thinking. And then question, could TIF be used to cover the gap? Probably not in this case. What we'd like to do is just take a little more time we haven't even got as far as looking really at next steps to evaluate, is there any type of city assistance or grants that could potentially assist if it is confirmed that the soils and conditions are bad. So we need to do a little more investigation before we can provide a recommendation on next steps. More to come in 2021 for sure. There was a lot of interest in the site. And then the ALF grant, you did provide a recommendation for MWF to develop on the former National Camera Exchange site, just on the cusp of Center Village. Unfortunately, that didn't move forward because of some site constraints due to the shoreline and the size of the property once they got further into their due diligence, and they decided to withdraw the project. But we do have a project that was recently recommended for approval for that site. It is a existing church in Burnsville that's has proposed to move to that location. So it will be occupied and in use and no longer vacant, and bring some activity to that area. So that's good news. They are in Burnsville, so we'll have to wait and see what happens to their existing site. That's yet to come. And then you provided some recommendations on the CARES business program, the specific program where the city offered our grants to different businesses within the community. So we really appreciate that. That was really kind of last minute and came together really quickly, but you provided some really great feedback for the council to consider in their adoption of the program. And they even, of course, made changes along the way, as we all know, throughout that program. Early in 2020, we had a couple of commissioners attend the EDAM conference, one just by profession because of their day job, and then other commission member for that educational experience. And we want to, continue to think about that for 2021. I need to do a better job of letting everyone know of these training opportunities that arise that may be of interest to our commission. And whether it's for a professional organization or just a workshop or webinar that may be of interest, I do need to do a better job of passing those along to you so that you can be educated. You received an update on the Minnesota River Quadrant. Jenny Faulkner provided an update on the landfill and quarry and some road improvement projects that are planned for that area. And you also had a review of our legislative priorities and agenda as an update. We had a couple of participants in our sustainability work group, and we do have an adopted sustainability plan now. So thank you for commission members for participating in those efforts. And then you continue to receive an update on our economic development strategic plan at each meeting. And tonight you reviewed our Open to Business program and had an update on how Open to Business serves our community. Next slide, please. So for 2021, we do have a number of items that I envision that the Economic Development Commission will be involved in. Now, part of this, I'm kind of speculating at this point, based off of some awareness of what will be before the City Council at their all-day work session that first week in February. So the first two items are related to city code updates. The city will undertake a full city code update in 2021. We'll be kicking that off. And a specific zoning code update and looking at land use and zoning and our subdivision ordinance. Now, how does the Economic Development Commission fit in? That's kind of yet to be determined, and I think will be greatly determined on the outcome of the City Council work session or all-day work session and what the direction that they provide. However, again, I'm speculating that they may want the Economic Development Commission to weigh in on the areas that impact and affect our businesses. So is that our liquor licensing? Is that our massage licensing requirements? Is that part of the zoning code that affect more commercial and our maybe mixed use activity? And so I'm thinking there's going to be a role for the commission. What that looks like exactly, yet to be determined. And then we've, in 2020, we completed a Grow Minnesota City Burnsville Chamber of Commerce partnership where Jennifer Harmoning with the Chamber of Commerce and myself went to, I think we went to, between the two of us, we're able to connect with over 26 businesses and complete surveys that are developed by the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce to get a temperature on the business climate and their individual businesses, positive, negative, kind of everything in between. And that data will be shared for 2020 at the next City Council meeting. I'm sorry, the next City Council work session in February. But I envision that there will be check-ins and a review opportunity specifically with the EDC come 2021. Oh, we are in 2021, so this year. And then we developed a specific business retention and expansion outline, kind of a program. And part of that program involved not only this Grow Minnesota City Burnsville Chamber of Commerce partnership, but then also the goal that we will focus on our more racially and ethnically diverse businesses. We've done some work towards that, but we can do better, and we are going to do better. An example of something that we've done is our Tour de Flavor, where we highlighted some of our ethnically mom and pop restaurants in Burnsville. But that's just really scratching the surface. And so we really, come 2021, in the future, we want to create more of a connection and really build those relationships. And then in 2021, we will be kicking off our Center Village meetings. We're kind of gearing up to do that, and then COVID hit and put a pause on those meetings. But there's a lot of activity going on around the Burnsville Center and new owner, and so we will be kicking that off in 2021. Next slide, please. And then, of course, just the ongoing natural tasks that the EDC will continue to participate in, our ED strategic plan work, ribbon cuttings, trainings, comprehensive plan implementation as it fits with the Economic Development Commission and economic development type work, continue to receive legislative agenda updates, and then also give recommendations on any land sales, tax increment financing, ALF grants, and that's kind of on a more as needed basis. you'll continue, I know you'll continue to see those definitely in 2021. Next slide, please. So with that, we are looking for a specific recommendation of the proposed 2020 draft work plan. Again, knowing that council may have more specific items after their all-day work session that could potentially be incorporated or added to what is here. But with that, I will leave it to the commission with any questions and consideration of the recommendation.
I'll open it up to the commission here for comments.
So Regina, I just want to be clear that if there are additional things that can be added to, even if we take an action tonight, is that correct?
There may be additional items that are specific direction from the city council that could be added.
Okay.
I'm not specifically aware of any that have been discussed, but you never know.
I have a couple questions too. Regina, a couple things for you is that I think, in the plan you talked about the EDM. I think it'd be really good to designate somebody to that. There's just so much common knowledge between cities and sharing of that data. And I know we've kind of disengaged now with the change in personnel. I really encourage that somebody to be designated to get involved with that again, or if there's another organization that you feel is better, then get engaged in that. And then the other thing that's so critical, I think, to our success is what is the plan going forward? Are you going to continue to work in this role? Or are you still in a kind of a temporary and we're looking to fill the role that was left vacant? Because that's a key component to what we do in driving this plan forward.
Great question. Yeah, I was going to save that till the end, but we'll go ahead and roll right into it now. Beth Weber, who's on at our commission meeting tonight, she was recently promoted to economic development specialist. And so we are in the process of backfilling her position that she's now, I don't want to say vacated because she's still filling that role right now. She was our community development assistant. So until we hire somebody, which I'm hoping will be in the next month, because we just closed our application process last week. Once we get that filled and we get that person trained in, then Beth will be just the dedicated economic development person. She will become your staff liaison here at the commission. I will still be active in economic development activities, TIF, grants as well, kind of more high level, but she will be your day-to-day person. She was at the EDAM conference and did attend that, so that was great. We're thrilled that she accepted the position and really shined with the CARES business program and really taking a really lead role in implementation of that kind of behind the scenes and also being that kind of conduit between our business community, and she's doing great work. So yeah, we're a little low on staff right now, but hope to be full steam ahead in like 2 to 3 months.
Awesome news. Yeah, I saw that in the Burnsville brief, so congratulations, Beth. I don't see anyone else. I guess I'll kick off one of my questions. I don't know if this is a task item or anything, or where it kind of falls in, maybe it's training or what, but I mean, have we ever wanted to consider like a teach out or a walkthrough of like the EDA's budget every year and kind of get an understanding of what's available in the budget for economic development efforts, what's available for economic development programs? I think we've had a number of discussions of, is there budget available? Where does the budget come from? Who's going to be advising on certain item agendas or proposals that come to to the city or staff. So I'm just wondering I don't know where kind of that falls in, but is that something we should kind of consider in one of our upcoming EDC meetings?
That's a good question. I kind of want to look at we have a specific policy, I know, for the Economic Development Commission, and spells out the duties and the expectations for that. Off the top of my head, I don't know if it speaks to recommendations specifically on budget, and if that would be an appropriate role, but if it is, I'd welcome that. And if it isn't, then I can report back.
Yeah, just more, get to see what's in the budget, as I was kind of looking at the 2021 annual budget. I know there's some ins and outs, and it'd be just not interesting though, but good to know, like what's at the length of the EDA, and what levers do they have to pull, and what's in their budget. And we can say, hey, well, maybe there's something in the budget that EDA hasn't looked at before, and kind of open up that conversation a little bit further with council or city staff.
Yeah,
Commissioner Anderson would like to speak next.
Go ahead, Al.
Following up on your budget item, when we had that discussion with the council at their work session, they were talking about budget, and Jenny said that there was some money to help promote Goal 4. Is there more in depth that we want to put into the work plan on Goal 4 to get, at least the non-loan parts of it working?
Get more detailed, not just have the line item, but get specific on the specific tasks that you.
Yes.
Or I can certainly, I mean, if you have a specific recommendation as a commission on the specific items, you want to move forward at this point, I can take that. Or if you want me to look back specifically to the discussion at the city council level and from your previous discussion and come back with some suggestions.
Well, we were talking about setting up some sort of a recommendation list and things like that, that were on that discussion we had with the city council. And obviously they weren't too interested in this particular year in doing the loan program, but there were other items that pretty much all the rest of the proposal was quasi approved, let's put it that way. And is there work that as a commission that we need to do to help you get those things rolling, or research some of the information that might be helpful for you, that type of thing?
I'm happy to expand on goal number 4 and add that as a task come up for the commission to come up with or develop recommendations on task number 4, and just kind of add a little more content to that.
That's fine.
I think Commissioner Fitchett had.
Yes, I'm missing all the chat functions. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, to Al's point there, during the work session with the council, there were some things that we were to go back to the table and readdress, but that also was part of the question that I asked initially when I asked if, even if we acted on this, there are things that could come to the table later on. And your answer was yes. So even if we did go back and readdress some things that we were looking at, we can at a later time bring those to the table, correct?
Yeah, I think really at any time you can you can add items to the work plan, but the priority focus would be the ones that are, I guess, approved or set by the council. But you know, as long as it falls under the parameters of the ED strategic plan and the other goals that you're working on, I don't think that's out of question. But that would be the your focus. If you're it's something completely not under that umbrella, something completely a different topic, that might be a 2022 goal that you want to kind of flag.
No, and if I can just be clear, this is just readdressing some of the things that we talked about at the council work session. Not anything new.
Yeah, then I think it would just be a continued discussion under that goal number 4 or the other ED strategic plan items, which will continue to be on your work plan for the next, until that's updated. It could be 5-10 years.
I know the ribbon cuttings got kind of sidetracked with the pandemic and not getting those. So it wasn't really much of a check item for at least last year's. So yeah, maybe if there's more involvement there, I don't know what the rules are with our own social distancing and that with the ribbon cuttings. But I think as things open up a little bit and when things kind of pop up with ribbon cuttings, if we could get more involved in 2020, then we can kind of check off the box on that one as a kind of a success. And I think those are always good to get, residents and volunteers from the community and the commission to kind of know that the business sees us and interacts with us and knows that we're there. I've been involved with several ribbon cuttings over the past years with this commission, and it's just cool to see the businesses opening up and kind of interacting with them and the owners when you wouldn't normally interact with them in any other circumstance, and being involved with those ribbon cuttings. So I think those are pretty cool.
I think Laura had some comments to add.
Yes, I do. I'm wondering if it's appropriate to add something to the effect of exploring discussions about relationships with other community partners. Obviously, the city already has a really strong relationship with the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce, but we've got SCORE that's located right in Burnsville. We've got a lot of other similar community partners. And if we took a little time at some point in the next year to discuss who they are and how much of a relationship we'd like to further establish.
I don't know. If you have
I'm open to adding that. I think that, kind of speaks to goal number 4 under the more business program umbrella. As far as SCORE, funny you mentioned them. I just got a call to give a presentation the second week in February to the group, just an update on what development's happening in Burnsville. And I did that about 2 years ago with them as well. So we do try to promote any workshops that they do from a marketing standpoint, but there's others out there, other more business focused community type partners and groups that we can continue to highlight and continue to bring to the surface.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. I think what we have laid out here in the 2021 action item work plan is good, and I recommend it to adoption by the city council. But I'll open it up to anyone else. if they have anything else to add to this. Al, looks like you got your hand raised there.
Yeah, I'll move that we approve the work plan with, and with some adjustments by Regina that would reflect maybe some more specific goals in certain areas.
And Regina, do we need a motion on this, or is it just more of a, I don't know if we need a roll call on this, or is it just more of a recommendation on it?
Why don't you go ahead and do an actual vote?
Okay. So moved by Anderson. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm just getting ahead of you. I'm sorry, I'll second it.
Okay, second by LaFavor. So I'll open it up to Beth for roll call for a vote.
Commissioner Newman,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner LaFavor,
Aye.
Commissioner Fichette,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmitz.
Aye.
And with that, the motion carries. So it looks like we are now on to item number 5 of the agenda, Economic Development Strategic Plan Update. And Regina will be providing a presentation and overview of this report. So Regina, I'll give it back to you again.
Thank you, Chair, members of the commission. Next slide, please. So this is just your every 3-month update on strategic plan goals that we've been working on. And so I'll start out with goal number 1, the interior sustainability of the Burnsville Center, County Road 42 corridor. We've learned that there is a new owner of the Burnsville Center, I would say proper. So the interior mall area, as well as some of those outbuildings like Jared's Jeweler, the Schuler Shoes, Verizon, and Shogun. And then as you know, the anchor stores each own their footprint in the parking fields in front of them. So Macy's owns their own spot, JCPenney, and then the former Sears own their own. But the remainder of the mall was sold at auction. The new owner is Cohan Retail. And I have had the chance to connect, Beth as well, and some other city staff have had the chance to connect with the new owner a couple of times. In fact, they will be in front of City Council at the next City Council work session, more of as an introduction, and the City Council will welcome them to the community. But we do hope to have 2 meetings with the ownership, not only the new ownership group, but the other anchor stores, to let them know specifically of the work that we've completed with the Center Village Vision, and then also other area plans that have been completed, like the traffic study work that Dakota County is doing. And we really want to hear from them. It's been a while since we did the vision. We want to know with the new owner what their plans are. So we will be setting up some kind of more staff level meetings to learn more about each of the entities, their plans, and we want to kind of do a show and tell as well. And then the alternative urban area wide review. We do have Kimley Horn under contract. I've mentioned this before, to study the area and to look at redevelopment scenarios. It's kind of one step further to get the area shovel ready should a developer be ready to submit an actual development plan of your kind of higher scale. So in typically a environmental review like an EIS or EAW would be required for housing developments over, I think the threshold's 375 units, or large scale office development, entertainment type development, or hotel. So we want to make sure that we kind of clear those barriers so that when these, we're hopeful, staying positive, when these applications do come in, that we're just kind of ready to go, that we've cleared all the environmental work. Next slide, please. So improve the image of Independent School District 191, the Burnsville School District, and the city. So we continue to have partnership meetings with the school district staff, Experience Burnsville, and the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce to work as a team. And one of the latest things that we are in development of is a hidden gems box. So this is the initial thought was we want to have something for our new residents to showcase Burnsville and provide a series of information. It then evolved to maybe we want to give this to businesses to give to their new employees, or we want to give to maybe just someone wanting to visit Burnsville. The partnership group came up with this as our top pick, because we felt like it really hit a cross section of all the partners kind of priorities and highlighted all the partners. So within the Hidden Gems box, there will be a map that highlights restaurants, entertainment, different parks and trails that you can visit within Burnsville. So that'll be in the box. And then there will be individual cards with different themes. So, and which will have a website and QR code to this respective website. So we'll be highlighting like Experience Burnsville, which has tons of information about fun things to do, like Buck Hill or Skateville, and the hotels that we have in the area, and the cool restaurants, great restaurants. The Chamber of Commerce will have more of a focus on business and different job or employment links when you click on that website. But it'll be like quick tidbit information, and people will be directed to these landing pages on our already created websites. And then there will be some sort of fun swag, which is yet to be determined. May include a fanny pack. So when you're on these adventure, the goal is to try to get people to go out and seek out the cool places that we have, the hidden gems that we have in Burnsville. So maybe it's a fanny pack, or maybe it's a charging bank, so that when you're taking photos of these cool places and out on these adventures with friends and family, that you can make sure your phone's charged. But it's still kind of a work in progress, but that's what we've been working on. We do also plan to do a new resident postcard or something to welcome our new residents to Burnsville, and that'll be a separate initiative. But we wanted to do something fun and a little different for a cross section of people. Next slide, please. Continued development within heart of the city. So you may have noticed that the second Orange Line station in Burnsville is under construction now. I think last time we met, just the heart of the city station was under construction, located at Highway 13 and Nicollet. And now the Burnsville Parkway and I-35W station is under construction. So that's expected to be ready to ride in late 2021, so December 2021. And then we also, at the end of November through December 31st, we had a specific shop local, eat, drink, and shop local campaign, where we really put a focus on heart of the city businesses for this. We placed yard signs on city property and on private property with their permission, and that encouraged people to shop, eat, drink local, as well as had gift tags made so that businesses could give out with their products. So I physically hand dropped off these gift tags to Buzz Cafe, and they added a tag to their coffee as a potential gift to give to someone during the holidays. Red Lion Liquor, the cigar shop in Burnsville, Holly House Boutique, which was a pop-up boutique at the 101 Burnsville Parkway building, Ficus and Fig, and a few other, I think the comic book shop, I gave them a stack, and a number of other businesses, as well as decals that they could put on their their front doors and different posters as well. So that was a really concentrated effort as far as physical on the ground in heart of the city. But then we did some social media as well, just encouraging the public as a whole to support local business. And that didn't necessarily mean in the content of the social media, wasn't necessarily meaning to like buy local or spend local. It may have been encouraging people to share a comment about their favorite place, that maybe they received good service at one point, or something like that. So you didn't necessarily have to spend money to participate. Next slide, please. And then we just continue to bring awareness around our commercial and housing programs. And goal number 4, which we've have had a lot of focus on and will continue in 2021. So we have continued to promote Dakota County grants. They've had a series of different grants available beyond kind of that first round that we were a part of. They had a specific restaurant grant that they were giving out funds for businesses that held liquor licenses. Right now, there's a grant program through Dakota County where they're giving additional funding for nonprofits and for other types of businesses, home-based businesses as well. So we continue to promote that. We had our housing strategy discussion, specifically with the commission, engaged Allers on that, and then also again council just recently, and then our Grow Minnesota visits have continued. Next slide, please. And then continue the city's position as a regional destination. We've worked with our partners, and some of these things kind of cross over into these different strategic plan categories, so it's kind of hard to place them. But we did also support the Experience Burnsville and the Chamber of Commerce in their Catch the Burnsville Spirit initiative, and that ran at the same time as our Shop Eat local campaign, and we did some cross promotion with that. And as you may have seen around town, there's still cranes out or construction activity. I should say crane activity soon again, and continued construction activity. Rise on Grand is expected to open their first phase in June of this year. That's a 275 unit apartment building. Retreat on Crystal Lake, that's the Northland project. I believe you had seen at a couple of points for a host community grant recommendation. They just, I believe, received their building permit or very close to receiving their building permit. This is on the other side of I-35W across from Buck Hill on Crystal Lake, or not on Crystal Lake, but adequately spaced from Crystal Lake. And then the Stencil Group, I believe it's called the Flats at Neal Park. They, I believe, just received their building permit. So this is near the Valley Ridge Senior Building, near the new Quick Trip off of County Road 5. So that should be starting soon as well. And then we have a number of, I would say a lot of inquiries right now about apartment buildings peppered throughout the city. And so there's high interest in Burnsville, and these apartments that are being built, they're really leasing up really fast, and it just proves to be a very strong market still in Burnsville. And I think that's it. Let's just check. Next slide. Oh, that's the end. With that, if there's any questions or you'd like any more detail on any of the items I presented, I'm more than happy. Otherwise, this is just an informational item.
Any questions or comments from the commission? Jeff, maybe, I think you may have something.
Yeah, just a general update. What is the latest on, I understand there's a large multifamily proposed development to the north of the Gateway building owned by the land owned by Kraus Anderson? And then what's the latest, Regina, with the proposed multifamily development at the Mr. B site at Diffley and Burnsville Parkway or Highway 13?
So the Kraus Anderson site, is a vacant site south of the Gateway buildings. There's interest. We don't have a formal application at this point. They do want to do something, and we'll have more to share once we have some sort of formal application or documentation, but we do foresee a project coming in soon. The Mr. B site, Roar's Companies was interested, may still be interested, I'm not sure. So at the January 5th City Council work session, we asked council if they would be in support of a TIF district at that location, and if they would be in support of using the environmental legacy funds through Dakota County to assist with really filling the gap that was identified from the developer. And council was not supportive of using TIF for that site. There was support for using the ALF grant money. And so the developer expressed that, this project potentially won't move forward without the use of TIF. And so I think they may be back to the drawing board to see if they can maybe rework the design. There were some suggestions from council to maybe increase the height of the building or add some commercial to the ground floor. And so that may be something that if they can make it, rework it a bit and find other maybe funding sources, that maybe that can be moved forward. But at this point, I've reached back out to the developer and nothing quite yet, but it's only been a week and a half or so.
Thank you.
Al, I think you might have a comment there.
Yeah, as long as I unmute myself. Regina, is there any discussion with Kraus Anderson on all that vacant land that is north of the Gateway building? You were talking about south. There's some business condos in part of it, but there's a whole.
That is the same parcel, Al. She maybe said south, but it's north of the Gateway building.
Okay, because I had heard something about there's some office buildings south of the Gateway that people might be interested in tearing down and, building something else there.
Yeah, at this point, we don't have anything, any formal submittals, but I can say there is a lot of developer interest in the surrounding area and peppered throughout the city as well. There is a question from Commissioner Fitchett if gas pumps were removed at Mr. B's, and no, there's still underground tanks that would have to be removed as part of any redevelopment of the site. Likely there would be sources that the city could, on behalf of the developer, act as an applicant for site cleanup, remediation, environmental remediation, and things like that. So yeah, it's an older site, and I would say it's really a gateway to the city and ripe for redevelopment from our perspective.
All right, anything else from the commission before we move on? All right, I think as Regina stated, this was just informational, so there's no motion required on this item at this time. So we'll move on to agenda item number 6 of the updates. I think the only update I have here is the next EDC meeting is scheduled for March 10th, 2021. Is there any other updates at this time from your perspective?
So The next city council work session on February 9th, there will be a Grow Minnesota update specifically from the Burnsville Chamber of Commerce. We're inviting the Minnesota Chamber also to participate. That may be of interest for the commission to attend or at least watch. And then the Burnsville Center owner, like I had mentioned before, will be in attendance as well. So that may be just of general community interest. And as your one of the focus areas for the ED strategic plan is around the Burnsville Center may be of interest. We initially had the strategic plan, economic development strategic plan to check in with the city council plan for that meeting, but we're shifting it to March 9th. Again, we'd encourage the commission to attend that meeting as well. And so we may be looking at dates again. The meeting after the March 9th city council meeting, like Commissioner Newman stated, is March 10th. I do think that we could have a project or two before you for recommendation in regards to possibly TIF and maybe ELF grants as well. So I think I would encourage you to keep that March 10th. Don't keep it as inked and not penciled in.
Sounds good. And speaking of updates, when would we present the work plan to City Council? I know it's sometime in February we usually do that. Do you know when that would be?
Commissioner Newman, that would be February 16th. And typically we ask that the chair, and if unavailable, the vice chair to present the work plan to the City Council.
Yep, okay. Thank you. I think with that, I don't see anything else. So with that, there's no other further items to come before us tonight. So at this time, I'd like to request a call for adjournment of the January 27th, 2021 Economic Development Commission meeting.
So moved.
Got a motion by Anderson and a second by Fichette. So Beth, can we have a roll call on the vote?
Yes. Commissioner Newman,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner LaFever,
Aye.
Commissioner Fichette,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmitz.
Aye.
And the motion carries. And with that, thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a good night.
Thanks, Regina.
Thank
This was a
you.
great session.
Everybody,
Have a great night.
Bye.
bye.